Spirit Guides Network Radio. This week's show is all about Ascension and the awakening process, with our special guest Chris Bourne from openhandweb.org. Chris and his wife Trinity have dedicated their lives to helping people understand the true nature of Ascension and how they can get into the flow and be a part of Gaia's awakening process. Okay, so just a warm welcome to Chris. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, Ian. Thanks very much for calling.
Okay, it's fantastic to have you on board. Tonight's show is around Ascension, and basically who better to have on the show than Chris Bourne from openhandweb.org, alongside your partner as well, your wife, is it? Trinity?
Trinity, that's right. I feel very humbled by your introduction already.
Honestly, it's a mutual respect there, mate, I have to say. Anyway, we tend to put a lot of information on our site with Ascension Awakening. We do try to come at it from all different angles. And I think it's just really great to have you guys come on and really sort of dispel all the misconceptions around Ascension. I know you've done a wonderful presentation as well, which you've uploaded onto your website. And if it's okay with you, we'll put a link to that as well underneath this show so people can watch it as well. So what I thought I'd do first is, I thought it would be good if you could just give an introduction to your awakening process that happened to you. When you were 40, you had a car accident, didn't you?
That's right. Yes, indeed. Yeah. I mean, it was amazing, really, because prior to that, you could call me an atheist, really. I had no spiritual beliefs at all. In fact, I'd studied science. I'd studied quantum theory at Oxford University. And as far as I was concerned, you could describe the universe in very scientific principles. But what happened in the car crash was truly profound, because I was caused to believe that I was certainly going to die in the way the crash happened. And what I came to realize was that at the moment of death, or when you think you're going to die, there's basically two choices that can happen. One, you can either go into fear, panic, and terror and really close down, or alternatively, you might realize that there's nothing left to be afraid of, there's nothing left to be attached to, and you can just simply let go. And this is what happened to me, and I found basically all of my attachments to life, to family, to friends, to job, career, debt, you name it. All of those attachments just kept getting stripped away. And as they did, I became stiller and stiller inside, and my consciousness just expanded into multiple dimensions of reality. And I was able to think and contemplate on multiple planes, and I felt the presence of spirit with me. And at that point, I was taken on a journey back through my life and shown that how every single event and circumstance that happens to us has but one purpose, and that is to help us realize an aspect of truth about ourselves, to ourselves. And so I could see, as I look back, how it was as if my whole life had been shaped to give me a chance to understand who and what I really was. And what's more, obviously, then I realized that this happens for everyone. I wasn't just a unique case, that everybody has this opportunity too. So yes, it was a very profound experience, a very powerful experience, yeah.
Because I think a lot of people talk about the tunnel effect where they meet loved ones, but in your case it seemed to be a multi-dimensional experience.
Exactly.
So kind of a different type of experience, really. And it's interesting you're saying that you realised that we're here to learn about aspects of ourselves. So like reality is like a mirror showing us what we need to work on.
Indeed, yeah. That was the one key thing that came from it all, that every single incident, there is but this one overriding purpose. And if you think about it, really, since we are, I think we all accept we are one life. Since we are one life and everything is a part of us, there is only one thing to know in the universe, and that's who we are. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of working on contrast, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what you're saying in your presentation, you're saying that in order to have an awareness and know who you are, you have to know what you're not.
Well, yes. You have to, but I think I think the way I put it in the presentation was that the point is you can't actually not know what you are. That's the conundrum. How can you, in order to know who you are and experience that, you have to know what you're not. In other words, you can't experience hot without cold, up without down, left without right. And so, from my perspective anyway, we created this incredible illusion of two opposing flows of consciousness. One, a consciousness spreading out to ever greater separation, and another, a pull inwards, a draw inwards to ever greater unity. And it's these two opposing flows. If you like, the unity consciousness decided that if it lost itself in the separation consciousness, in other words, if a soul was to infuse itself in a body-mind and convince itself it was that body-mind by animating thoughts, feelings, emotions, then we would get the experience of separation and identification with the physical plane. And then by letting go of the identification and slowly but surely unfolding into the more etheric, whole, complete aspect of our nature, then we would get a feeling and experience of what it really means to be one, the one life.
So in effect, this is what Ascension's all about, is kind of returning back to a unity consciousness.
Yes,
is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
But with separation, there's different levels of separation, isn't there? So obviously we're in what we call the 3D, so we're kind of really thick and in the goo, and we've really lost ourselves and stuff. But then there's like lesser subtle, less, I guess, dense. So I mean, with unity, it sounds like you can only have unity, but you can have many levels of separation, or can you have different levels of each from your perspective?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question indeed. I think what you have is you have separation consciousness arrayed in multiple dimensions. So what I feel, there are 11 dimensions in all. And then within those 11 dimensions, a soul, for example, would be infused in one particular dimension, say the third, and would have a very dense experience. And yet, when we move to the next plane of consciousness, which would be the fifth, then you get a much finer, more etheric experience of reality. And that continues so on up through the dimensions as we continue to ascend. And it's getting finer and finer and finer all the time. So you're getting ever closer to the experience of infinite potential, which is really what this is all about. So it's actually knowing ourselves as the zero-sum total of all things before any of this came into being.
Yeah. So where do you feel we're going to go now? So should we go back to your presentation? You kind of start off with a diagram where you've got kind of unity is like a little dot, and then you show concentric circles coming out like a wave. If you just sort of go into that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, what happened for me was when I awoke, I started seeing this what I would call two overlapping concentric circles in different colors. One was kind of a bluey indigo, and one was a green. And with the blue indigo sort of spreading outwards as shafts of light through the green. And I focused on that for a long time and tried to understand what it really meant. And it brought me kind of full circle back to some of the quantum theory that I'd been studying at university. And basically, what came to me was that it all began with what scientists would call a singularity or unity, where there was just nothing and nothing was everything.